Hey, what's up? I'm gonna try and make a quick video. This is gonna sound a little bit. It's gonna sound a little bit canned when I come on with this because I had just started this video before, and then the phone ran out of storage. So I'm gonna try to reattempt some of the ideas I was starting with, but it may sound canned because of that. But I had a lot of ideas. But also I wanted to challenge myself by trying to get this completed with the limited amount of battery bandwidth that I have. I'm actually at a vicinity where I can charge the phone, but I wanted to try to challenge myself to do it quickly, because sometimes when you do something that's counterintuitive, that's the best way to obtain a victory, because you just upset yourself. Therefore, you upset anything or one that would anticipate you. So it's actually a strategy to succeed at a lot of things, because a lot of this life is exactly calibrated very finely and scientifically, that there may actually be something. It might actually be more profound than what we'd call science at this point. How exact we're being anticipated, calculated, adjusted for, and not in our best interest always. But part of confounding that is to confound ourselves, because anything that can perceive you can perceive a lot of your habits and your tendencies, like, because we're governed a lot by our tendencies, or we defer to our tendencies, which can be calculated. However, we do have the autonomy of choice. So when you confound your own decision making by doing something counterintuitive, you can gain an advantage like that. I've done that. I've taken that approach to different things for a while. The way I came about that was when I was a young person. I was at odds with my family, my actual family. To this day, I have the exact same dynamic. Very little has changed about that, but it was actually very kind of heinous and disingenuous. It's some things are some of the most brutal things in life are the things that confound your actual human instincts. So your human instincts is that the people that are in your life would have your best interests and support your best interests, and also that while you fail, because failure is part of learning and therefore part of success. But that had not been my experience of life, and especially as an adult. So I would emulate deers, because if you watch a deer, in some ways they can seem a little bit dumb, and they may actually be a little bit dumb by nature, so that they can be obtained by wolves, which serves the ecosystem, both in the interest of deers and wolves and the ecosystem. However, they can also be very brilliant in also some of their flightiness, their aloofness, and they can have a very keen attention, but also be easily distracted. And I think that can serve them in that they're just harder to anticipate by them being somewhat dumber, clumsier, more capricious, whimsical. They may actually be harder to anticipate like that. But then also, they're a lot of your intelligence, for lack of a better word, your awareness, your keenness, your sensitivity is actually part of how genuine and kind you are. So I appreciate that. Like, I've served a lot of children in my life as an adult, as in my profession. But I have not been one to compare and contrast and rank human beings, but especially children, because that's disingenuous, and that you could convey things. You could have subtle communication that would betray your actual appraisal and preference. However, there are a few students that would really stand out as just being incredibly intelligent. I actually met a person like that tonight. I was practicing guitar in a guitar shop, and a child came in the room and asked if anyone can just pick up any guitar in there. But actually, the genuineness of that child asking that question like that, the humility in his question like that, that's actually intelligence par excellence, more intelligent than me sitting there as an adult just to ask a simple, humble, true question like that. So I've served a lot of children, but the most outstanding of which would be the humble of which, the very kind, the gentle of which. But I think deer are like that too, in that they're very gentle, but also therefore keen and aware. But I emulated that and developed some of that as a young person when I was put to my own devices, socially, personally, professionally, economically. Even though I still somewhat had the shelter and the proximity to my family. I wasn't being sheltered emotionally, personally, economically. To some, I can't say economically, but I wasn't. I didn't feel love, but I survived by being aware, but then also doing things to exactly confound my own thought process and tendencies, which would put me in a situation that I wouldn't otherwise be. A lot of the coolest situations, the coolest experiences that I had in life, even my profession as a bus driver, is because I was exactly somewhere that I wouldn't have been calibrated to be. Because when I became a bus driver, one is that my route to becoming a bus driver the first time as a non-CDL, that was a circuitous roundabout way that I got to that position. And I hadn't set out to become a bus driver. I had actually set out to become a truck driver in responding to the need for help with the supply, the failures in the supply chain during the pandemic. A lot of times I would step up to things in my life that were in the interest of people, of the broader community of life, of human beings, for where I'm at locally and abroad. But I would do so in a way that exactly wasn't to my strong suit or best interest, and extended myself sometimes just for the sake of it. And one is that it's a stupid decision to go try to do this thing for a lot of reasons. It's not a sexy thing to do. It's not something that would really serve me. But I still want to do it because that would seem the right thing to do to me, for in my highest interest and ideal, if any ideal, would be the best interest of other people, which is also me. But just by me doing that, it would put me in places that I wouldn't otherwise be and wouldn't be anticipated to be, even by some of the people having oversight